Despite reaching #1 in countries all around the world, the suite were yet to reach the top of the UK charts. They returned to the studio in November 1972 in the hope of recording that elusive #1 hit.
I must say, with Little Willy and Wigwam Bam, I always saw those as just seminal stages when I think back. Because all the Indian headdresses, it's the kind of lunatic thing that might have got us to #1 with Wigwam Bam. The dressing up and everything, but Blockbuster, it had that moment. I remember Mick Tucker and I discussing the fact that there wasn't much song in Blockbuster, but there was a lot of elements surrounding it. You know, it had the Steve Priest bit, it had the high, you know, screeching vocals, it had the siren, it had the guitar riff that everybody knew from the old blues and rock records. And, well, and a hellish, thunderous beat, you know, so in one way, you know, you start to think, could we? And on the other side, you think, yes, of course we can, you know.
When I heard Blockbuster and the siren went on, the hairs on my back of my neck stood up. And you get this kind of really cold shudder go through you, and you think, I might have got this one, I might have got this one. And of course it's in the lap of the gods, because you don't know what you're going to come up against.
It was so original in every way, from the siren onwards, and the song was original, and the track was great, and the singing was great, everything about it was great. So I think even before we mixed it, it was feeling like a #1. You get that feeling in the studio sometimes, not every time. I wish it was every time, but sometimes you're making a record and you're coming near to the end of making the record, and the hairs on the back of your neck start to stand up, and you think, you know what, we've really got one this time. And I think that's what I felt. I think we all felt it. I mean, you know, I don't think there was any lack of confidence anywhere about that record. It was a smash, and it was going to be #1.
Don't know if they'll ever be able to Blockbuster out. He's gotta be caught. He's gotta be taught. 'Cause he is more evil than anyone here ever thought. Does anyone know the way to hear someone say? We just gotta go. Does anyone know the way? There's got to be a way to Blockbuster.
Blockbuster reached #1 in the UK on January the 27th, 1973, and spent a total of 15 weeks in the charts.
You pinch yourself, you say, a #1 record. Well, this is a little band from Ruislip. This is a little band that started off in the Clay Pigeon, and I saw rehearsing, and that I stayed with, and that played at my wedding. And you stay with that band, and you stay with that band, you believe in that band, you know, and suddenly you've actually got to the top of the mountain. You've got a #1. It's an extraordinary rush It's an extraordinary rush. You know, the adrenaline pumping, you're waiting for the chart, and you get the call, you got a number one. It's silent.
Suddenly you know you can do things, that you're a number one band now. You've had a number one record, and there's something about confidence that is very, very constructive.
Quite incredible. It really is quite something. Suddenly you've got your record that you are, you know, you actually shed blood making this record. You suddenly recollect all the arguments and the blood on the walls and, you know, the toing and froing and what goes on behind the scenes. And you've got a number one.
With a number one finally in hand, the band began to enjoy the celebrity status that fame brought them.
It's a lifestyle, and again, when we're talking about the, you know, the groupies and the sex and the partying, that's all part of the positive energy that goes into a record. So it's a lifestyle, and very often when you hear great records, part of what you hear is the lifestyle, that positive energy.
It wasn't quite becoming as bad as what the Beatles said, where nobody could hear anything that they were doing, because we by this time had a proper sound system that we used to drag around the world with us, and so even though they would scream and shout, we could play louder than them. And you know, as a hot-blooded male, you know, you'd be stupid to turn around and say that you didn't like some of the adulation. Like, I remember Sydney Airport. You know, there were so many girls. The security was all over the place.
They said sex, drugs and rock and roll. And although I don't think the band got too into drugs, in fact they didn't, the sex and the rock and roll, without a shadow of a doubt, all part of it.
I used to find myself a little bit frightened by it. If you want privacy, you're in the wrong business, perhaps, you know.
Along with the fame came the inevitable fortune, and the band were now able to spend.
Well, I remember Steve Priest and I looking at each other and going, well, we're going to buy rollers now then. Which we did. We all went out and, well, me, Steve and Brian went out and bought a Silver Shadow each.
Well, I know that the boys went out and bought Rolls Royces and stuff like that, but then so did I, so...
I do remember saying, I want this car and somebody is going to help me buy this car, you know. And I remember Mick did not want the Rolls Royce, he wanted the Mercedes, so he went out and bought one of the 600 stretched Mercedes. So
it was, you get an extra royalty check, and it was. Are you having an indoor or an outdoor pool? Right, oh right. If it's indoor, I better get one of them. I'm having one of them. Mercedes Sports, yeah, yeah. We're all having those. And Rolls Royces, yeah, Rolls Royces all round. And that was rock and roll. You know, if one had it, they all had to have it. And I was great. It was wonderful. Rolex watches, yeah, I haven't got one of them. 4 of those, 5 of those, and video recorders, yeah, Philips, yeah, 6 of those. You know, it's rock and roll.